Cory Sandhagen has been just one step away from greatness for years, but he always comes up short at the final hurdle. After his recent win over Davison Figueiredo, however, it looks like he's finally moved past those tough losses, and in this video, we're taking a look back at all the times he stumbled and then mounted an explosive comeback. Cory Sandhagen kicked off his MMA journey in 2015, and it didn't take long for him to start making waves. In just a couple of years, the Sandman racked up 5 solid wins, with his breakout moment coming when he submitted Dalton Goddard in the very first round.
That's deep too, that is deep. Cory Sandhagen pulling on that head and he finishes.
With 5 wins to his name, Sandhagen earned his shot in the Legacy Fighting Championship, and his debut came against Jamal Emmers.
Yeah, me and Jamal, I foresee like a really exciting, really technical, a really pretty fight, you know? Yeah.
The fight was a tight and technical battle. Sandhagen landed some crisp shots on the feet, but Emmers had the edge in the grappling, and in the end, it was Emmers who walked away with the decision win. Sandhagen's first career loss hit him hard, but not hard enough to keep him down, and he came back with 2 consecutive wins, including one against a cocky Jose Aguayo. Sandhagen made the cocky dude pay with a knee to the face and brutal follow-up elbows that made him see the stars.
Oh, he hurt him with that.
Aguayo on his back. Sandhagen dropping elbows, and it's over.
That winning streak punched Sandhagen's ticket to the UFC, and he didn't just show up. He showed out with 4 straight finishes, 3 by TKO and 1 by submission. Riding high, he cracked into the bantamweight rankings and proved his mettle with gritty wins over John Lineker and Rafael Assunção. That earned him a shot at a title eliminator against none other than Aljamain Sterling at UFC 251, and he was gunning to prove that he was the best 135-pounder in the world.
What I'm excited about too is that I get to show like, oh wow, that kid's different than the other bantamweight fights that I saw.
For Sterling, this wasn't just a title eliminator, it was the title fight in his mind, since Henry Cejudo vacated the bantamweight belt just a month earlier at UFC 249.
I think this is really the title fight, just 3 rounds.
The fight was hyped to be a razor-close war, but Sterling had other plans as he came out like a man possessed, dragging Sandhagen to the mat with ease and locking in a rear naked choke that ended things in just 90 seconds. Sandhagen returned to the win column with 2 spectacular stoppage wins, including a flying knee KO against Frankie Edgar that went viral.
I had never knocked anyone out like that before, so that was really exciting for me. But then again, like I said, I mean, you can kind of see after the fight when they were raising my hand, like I was pretty mixed up.
The win earned him another potential title eliminator, this time against disgraced former champion TJ Dillashaw, who was making his comeback after a 2-year doping suspension.
I think TJ's a really great competitor. I think he's obviously a great athlete. As far as like TJ's skills go, and honestly his mentality is, I don't have any, I'm complimentary in that way.
The two had shared the mats back in 2017, and by 2021, you'd expect Sandhagen to have evolved into a different beast. But in TJ Dillashaw's eyes, Cory was still the same fighter.
But he's still the same fighter. He's still the same guy. He's still the same guy I train with, and I know that I can come out there and put a beating on him, so I'm excited for Saturday.
Dillashaw learned the hard way just how much Sandhagen had leveled up. From the opening bell, Cory sliced him up with surgical precision, leaving TJ's face a crimson mess. Dillashaw had his moments too, and it was a 5-round war, with the split decision going to Dillashaw, and many naturally protested the outcome. Dillashaw blamed a below-par performance on a rough camp.
Were you injured coming into the fight?
Yeah, man, I had a really rough camp. I didn't even spar this whole camp. The first camp going, we were supposed to fight May 8th. Camp went smooth. Other than getting cut, I was able to spar. Camp was going good. The second camp around, I could not stay healthy.
With Dillashaw sidelined by injury and Sterling pulling out of his scheduled title defense against Petr Yan at UFC 267, the UFC needed action at the top of the bantamweight mountain, so they lit the fuse and booked an interim title showdown between Cory Sandhagen and Yan. For Sandhagen, it was a battle for the ultimate prize.
I'll see myself as champ. I know that most of the public sees Jan as the champ anyways. I know that I definitely will have some making up to do. Like I definitely still need to make up my 2 losses against Aljamain and against TJ also, but I'll go home with like
a smile on my face calling myself the champ if I win.
The war with the Russian was anything but smooth sailing for Sandhagen. At first, Jan looked puzzled by Cory's length and movement, but once he solved the puzzle, it was target practice. Jan dialed in, turned up the heat, and pieced up Sandhagen round after round, putting on a masterclass to claim the interim gold. Cory's morale was badly shattered after the fight, but he wasn't completely broken, and he predicted a comeback in an Instagram post. Cory followed the script to perfection, outclassing Song Yadong, outsmarting Marlon Vera, and outworking Rob Font to claw his way back to title contention. But standing in his path was an undefeated nightmare with a legendary last name, Umar Nurmagomedov.
I guess no one else wanted to fight him. That's what Dana said too, so I guess no one else wanted to fight him, so what do?
Cory had nothing but praise for Umar.
Yeah, I think he's a great fighter, man. Like I said, his style is really tricky. It's almost like two really out there styles kind of put together, or not out there styles, but difficult styles to understand and to, fight against. Like he has a very karate taekwondo style of stand-up, and then he mixes that in with really good wrestling and grappling. So I really have enjoyed the challenge of trying to figure out those two styles and, how I can beat it.
On fight night, Cory gave it everything he had, trying to solve the riddle that was Umar Nurmagomedov. But the Dagestani phenom was a step ahead, blending crisp striking with relentless grappling to perfection. In the end, Umar walked away with a dominant decision win and a chance to fight for the UFC bantamweight title. In his next fight, Sandhagen faced another tough dude in the form of former flyweight champ, Figuereido.
Yeah, Figueiredo's a really game guy. I think that he's like a fighter's fighter, which I really dig, and I feel like I can relate big time to. He's tough. I always described it, even before we were matched up to fight, as like what Figueiredo doesn't really make sense, but it somehow works, And those are sometimes the most dangerous guys.
Even though Figueiredo is known for being dangerous, Sandhagen completely outclassed him. He controlled the fight from the start, and in the third round he went after Figueiredo's leg, which led to a knee injury and made him tap out right away.
But from where I was sitting, it looked like his knee was in a messed up position with your legs in it, and then he tapped. So I feel like that maybe should be a submission ruled. You carried away.
Yeah, it was like a pop submission, It was like, the position's called 50-50. If you don't know how to play 50-50, you're going to pop your knee. I spun under. I went for a backside 50-50. It didn't hit. He got on top. I sat up really hard just to get on top. And if I sit up hard and you don't sit back, your knee is going to pop.
After his knee-popping victory, Sandhagen has put himself in a strong position to fight for the belt, but he might have to secure one more win before taking the big leap. Who will that #1 contender fight be against? As far as Figueiredo is concerned, he will have to dig deep, just like a fellow boxer who seems to be in a bit of a pickle. If you want to know who, watch our video on Ryan Garcia.